Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to take a look at the long-awaited finale of Hush 2, Batman issue number 163. Now you may say to yourself, oh, it's been a while since I've taken a look at an issue of Hush here on the channel. Well, there's a reason for that. This book was originally supposed to be out in August of 2025. It is now June of 2026, and this final issue has finally shipped. It's been so long since this book was supposed to be out that the next volume of Batman that was supposed to come after this is up to issue 10 already. So, we've been waiting on this one for quite a while. It was rescheduled and canceled and rescheduled again and all this, back and forth. And again, this was sort of my conspiracy theory as to why they were starting over Batman with a new volume at the end of Hush 2, so that Jim Lee could give himself time to catch up and get this story done. I think everyone kind of agrees that's what's happened here, even though, no one from DC has officially admitted that. Jim Lee is in charge of DC Comics now, so he can kind of do what he wants with this kind of thing. But I think everybody kind of knows that's what's happened here. As we just saw, we've had 10 issues of Batman come out that were supposed to be after this. So had we been waiting on Hush 2 to finish up to keep the Batman monthly title going, we'd be 10 months without a Batman book at this point. I've taken a look at the previous chapters of Hush 2, and so those videos are here on the channel. If you check the Batman playlist, you'll find them all there. I would put a link in the video, but YouTube doesn't let me do that yet. So I need way more subscribers, I think, to do that. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. Again, I try not to harp on about this on the channel like some others do. But, tell your friends about the channel. I'd really appreciate it. And could, do stuff like that every other channel does. So today I'm going to take a look at this last chapter of Hush 2. And I have not read this yet. I've avoided spoilers online. I have not cracked the cover on this yet. So this is just me going through it right now with you, kind of giving my reaction and, kind of what I think of the story in total now that it's finished. Starting off, we have a ton of covers here for this book, of course. I got the fold-out gatefold cover by Jim Lee, because that's what they did at the end of the original Hush. There were two sort of fold-out covers, one kind of featuring the Bat family and the good guys, and one kind of featuring the villains that Batman fights. So I wanted to get the gatefold fold-out cover for this, and again, I haven't even opened up this yet, so let's take a look at what we have here. So, let's see, I think I can get this all on screen. So it looks like we have Batman and some of the villains here in a subway station. So and I don't know, have all these characters been in the story? I went back and reread the first 5 chapters of this story before looking at this, because again, it's been so long I couldn't remember what was going on. I don't think all these guys have been in the story at this point. Bane has been in here. They've made reference to Clayface. Joker, was in here. Talia was in here. I don't remember Killer Croc or Penguin or Mr. Freeze really being in here. So I don't know. Maybe they'll be in this last issue here. I'm not sure. I don't think this is really our cast of characters for this story necessarily. Again, we have Batman in the suit. He's kind of been in for this storyline. So we, have the oval bat back. And, since, 2000 when they quit using that. But yeah, definitely, sort of the Jim Lee version of Talia from earlier in the story here. There are some new villains that were introduced in this story, and Hush, who are not on this cover for some reason. That's kind of surprising. This looks like this is a cool pin-up cover by Jim Lee. This would make a cool poster, I bet, but I don't know how much this ties into the story that we're getting here. Again, I haven't read it yet, so maybe I'm wrong. But right now, this just looks like a cool pin-up cover that kind of could go with any story. Okay, so here, inside we got this big all-in ad fold out, and then I guess this is the regular cover here, so it's just like the middle section of the fold out here. I'm interested to see if they continue, what's the back cover here. Again, this is more of a cardstock kind of cover. If that's continued on the back of the more regular kind of standard stock cover, because here we have Mr. Freeze getting cut off. So I don't know if Mr. Freeze and Killer Croc are on the back cover on the inside of this here or not. Again, I don't want to jump ahead yet just because I haven't read this yet. So I don't want to get too far ahead yet, but that'll be something to kind of look for at the end of the issue here. Oh yeah, and so this is issue 13 of, or I'm sorry, 163 of the, I guess this was the Rebirth volume of Batman, but we do have the legacy number down here of 928. And so I guess that means that the current volume of Batman would be 938, since it's 10 issues ahead. And kind of weird what they're doing with the numbering, but again, that's what you can do when you're the boss, I guess. Got a Supergirl ad again. Her movie's just about to come out. Okay, so first page here, we've got Joker kind of closing in on Batman here. Again, at the end of the last issue, Batman was in the Batmobile, and the floor kind of gave out below him, and he crashed down into this scene with all these villains. So again, this is probably the, I'm going to guess this is the subway tunnel from the cover here. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. So we have Joker here telling Batman that they're on his side, and here we do get the characters from the cover on here. And so they are saying that, you know, Hush has manipulated all of them. So most of these characters were in the, you know, first volume of Hush back in the day. And so, yeah, these guys were all involved in that storyline. So now it looks like they're looking to get revenge on Hush for what he did and how he manipulated everybody. And so Joker's saying that they're all here to help him out now. So we have Batman's enemies working with him here. And Joker makes a statement that they're the all-new, all-different Bat family. We've got Batman's allies who are kind of going after him, as, you know, previously shown in the story. Again, we've kind of flipped the dynamic here of Batman is being hunted by his friends and helped by his enemies here. And here we have the big Hush 2 title page. And, you know, we've got Batman's narration throughout here. And, you know, we have the classic, I had my answer, I would become a bat. Again, kind of going back to Batman's origin story. Again, I'd like the title pages that they've done for Hush. I just wish, like the previous first Hush storyline, that it had the sort of Marvel-style intro, kind of recapping Batman's origin and that sort of thing. Again, that's something, you know, Marvel used to do back in the day all the time. It was kind of something unique, though, to see in a DC comic, you know, or in a Batman story. But again, you know, I thought that was kind of neat. Wish they had continued that here. And this is chapter 6, and it is called Draw. So, yeah, I don't know if that's a spoiler for how this story ends, but we'll find out and see. So here we've got the Batman family kind of jumping in the hole here after Batman. And he sort of charges at him here and starts attacking. Nightwing says something's not right. And he says, that's not him. And so he looks to Riddler, and Riddler says, when is Batman not a Batman? Real quick, we also have an Easter egg here of Miller Avenue down in the subway. Again, a reference to Batman creator Frank Miller. Nightwing grabs this device off of Riddler and throws it at Batman here, and it electrifies him, and it turns out this is Clayface. So again, this was something that they did in the original Hush storyline back in the day, so I'm kind of surprised they're kind of playing that gimmick here again. Previously, we had Jason Todd show up in the first Hush storyline. Again, this was back when he was still dead. So they played it as if Jason Todd had been resurrected. It turned out it was Clayface posing as him. So I'm kind of surprised that they're doing that again in the sequel here. Then we have Batman and the villains kind of going through the tunnels here. And Batman says that, you know, they sent Clayface to slow down Batman's friends. And Batman says he's also using that opportunity to kind of thin out the herd of the villains here. Bane tells Batman they don't necessarily know where Hush is, but they're basically using Batman as bait here to draw him out. And then on the next panel here, we've got Hush, and so we've got Red Hood here, Jason Todd, and this new character called Silence. So it didn't take them long to draw Hush out here with Batman, but then Bane charges, and we get this stop here from Silence. So this is kind of his superpower. I'm not sure if this is similar to Black Canary, but it does seem to be like, you know, he has this sort of deafening voice, and it looks like it is stopping Bane in his tracks here. We have this sort of standoff with Batman surrendering. He's starting to figure out what's going on here with Hush and how he's sort of manipulating everyone here. Hush orders silence to end them, and then we get this giant down and a bunch of the walls collapsing here behind them. It looks like this has cut off the villains, and so now we just have Batman, Hush, Silence, and Red Hood. Then we have a subway car coming at them here, and Batman jumps to push Jason out of the way. And we have Batman kind of convincing Jason Todd to be the hero here and to turn against Hush. I do like that they've brought back Hush whispering all the time. Again, that's something a little more unique for the character. It's really been lost since the original Hush storyline. We also get Batman saying, "Show yourself" here in the narration. So it looks like we've got somebody else coming into the story here. Okay, now we've got this big shot of Hush stabbing Batman here, saying, "I'm going to slice out your heart, just like I did your beloved Catwoman." So that's kind of cool. Again, a reference to the Heart of Hush storyline. Again, this was another Hush story after the original, Hush. That was written by Paul Dini, where Hush actually stole Catwoman's heart, and Batman had to get it back. Again, one of the better Hush stories, not by Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee. Then we have Talia coming out of the subway car here, and Red Hood telling them to stop. Okay, so things are getting kind of interesting here. So Talia shoots Hush right in the head. Then we have Silence yelling no. Red Hood has grabbed Hush and is shooting at Talia. Talia calls for Ubu, her second, and he attacks, looks like he slashes Silence's throat here and calls him Sadiq. So maybe Ubu knows Silence, I guess. Is Silence tied into Ra's al Ghul's world, maybe? And Talia is yelling at Jason to stop shooting and to think of all they've done for him. And again, it was established later on that Talia helped resurrect Jason Todd, and he persists in firing at them. Now we have their helicopter. Looks like it's in the Antarctic or somewhere, maybe. So Talia has Ubu bring Batman to her, and they are putting him in a Lazarus pit here. Talia also mentions that her father is dead. I thought Ra's al Ghul was alive, but you know what? I can't keep that straight anymore. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Was it in the Robin series, maybe? Yeah, I'm not sure. Or, maybe it was at the time this story was supposed to come out. He was still dead. I'm not sure. I can't keep that straight. Again, a guy whose gimmick is resurrection, so I suppose it doesn't really matter. But we've got Batman being dunked into a Lazarus pit here, which, will bring him back to life after Hush stabbed him, so we'll see what happens here. So this is interesting. We have Batman in the Lazarus pit. He comes out. Talia tells him to live again. Usually when someone is resurrected in a Lazarus pit, there's like a short period of time where they're kind of crazy and super aggressive. So is that what we're going to get here with Batman? He asks Talia here, "What's happened to you?" Oh, come on. Okay, so Batman just kind of kisses Talia here at the end, and we have end of part 1 to be continued in Hush 2. I mean, this is Hush 2. Hush 2 squared? Is that what they mean? Oh my god. So we got some covers. We've got an Absolute Green Arrow preview, Barbara Gordon breakout preview, and that is it. So, yeah, I'm not sure how this is part 1 when it's Hush 2. I don't know if they mean Hush 3. They had talked about that before, but I don't know if that was going to happen or not. Yeah, that is the end of the story there. So, yeah, not crazy about that. Again, the original Hush was 12 issues. They were saying this was 6, and then they might do a part 3 later. So I don't know if we just got Empire Strikes Back here. But yeah, that's not really... I mean, I guess... I don't know if this really wraps everything up. I don't feel like it. I feel like this is the first 6 issues of Hush 2, and that we will get another 6 someday, maybe. Again, it took forever to get this issue. I can't imagine how long it would be to get another 6 issues of this. Yeah. Oh man, I am disappointed in that. This is I feel like this is a bad call on somebody's part. Probably Jim Lee's. Maybe, Jeff Loeb, the writer, he has done multiple 12-part Batman stories, so I wouldn't say this is his call here. I feel like he could knock that out no problem. Again, he's done Long Halloween, A Dark Victory, Last Halloween. He did, the first Hush. He has a record for doing multi-part, 12-issue Batman stories. So I feel like this is really just Jim Lee not being able to keep up the sort of monthly schedule that this book would require. Yeah, man, I do not like that. I was really hoping for The End. Again, keep in mind, too, Jim Lee never finished All-Star Batman and Robin back in the day. That was supposed to be a 12-issue series with him and Frank Miller, and there's only 10 issues of that ever came out. And they've done an absolute edition of that book, so that's it. That's all we're going to get. They're never going to go back to that at this point. Oh, yeah, I am really... this is a pretty lackluster ending, I think. So, yeah, like, how is Talia connected to this? She just kind of shows up as, like, a Deus Ex Machina at the end here. What's the deal with the new villains that, like, Silence that Hush created in the course of this story? How do they tie into this? I have no clue. Again, we have Ubu referring to Silence as by a proper name here, Sadiq. So were these guys fed to Hush by Talia? And why would she be doing this anyway? We don't really get Hush's motivation beyond just wanting to mess with Batman here. We don't get the back cover of this either, so it's an ad for Lego Batman, so the inside cover here doesn't make much sense with just Mr. Freeze's shoulder here, but whatever. That's definitely not the biggest disappointment of this book, apparently. Just real quick, since I talked about them on some of the other ones, here are some of the other variant covers. Again, a ton of covers, of course. So yeah, you can check out some of those, collect them all, maybe, if you can find them all. But yeah. I am disappointed in this. We had, I don't know, 20-some years in between the Hush stories. I would bet whatever is planned for the next 6 issues of this is probably pretty strong, and I would assume wraps up nicely. But yeah, just this on its own, it's like, kind of, I would say this is a pretty disappointing way to end this. I don't know why this ends in a to be continued, because as of right now, 164 or whatever isn't being solicited. Yeah, that's another thing. Will they continue this numbering from the previous volume, or will this take over from the current volume of Batman? Will they wait till there's like a team change in this book and continue it in this series, or do they continue the previous series? Because if you're doing that, I feel like it's also not as urgent. And is it still in continuity, sort of thing at that point? Because technically this would be in the past now for Batman. Again, this is not the costume he's wearing right now. I'm pretty sure the Red Hood series that only lasted 1 issue was supposed to come out of this, because we see Red Hood and Huntress kind of interacting, and that's what that whole book was supposed to be about. And so that was supposed to come out when this ended. And again, it already shipped because this was late and was canceled after the first issue. So I don't know, we're in kind of a weird limbo here with this book. Yeah, overall, I feel like, I just went back and reread the first 5 chapters of this. It felt like it was kind of going a little slow. I don't feel like it was as fast-paced as the original Hush storyline. But I'm like, well, maybe they'll stick the landing. Maybe there'll be a cool twist at the end here or something like that. Yeah, to be continued is not a good twist for me. Yeah, and again, I'm a fan of the original Hush storyline from back in the day. I really like that. It's definitely like a summer blockbuster kind of Batman story. This just really kind of falls short. I feel like we've got some stuff introduced. And we've got all these villains kind of thrown in here at the end. And they just kind of get blindsided by Silence. And then it doesn't really amount to anything other than a cool cover here for the end. Yeah, a lot of stuff left unanswered here. Kind of pretty disappointing, I think. I'd say if you're going to read this, maybe wait till the third part comes out. You know, I don't know if they're calling, is it? Yeah, it doesn't say Hush 3, right? It says Hush 2. Yeah, to be continued and Hush 2 squared or whatever. Ooh, yeah, I don't know. Meh. Just, man, for a story that took so long to come out, because I would think now and then, like, Hush was a really successful Batman story back in the day, and, you know, Jim Lee working for DC, and, like, he's, you know, the big wig at DC now. You think they would do a sequel to it at some point, and this is what we got. Yeah, I don't know. Again, it's hard to kind of judge the story without having the ending to it, you know, so I feel like Jeff Loeb is setting up some cool stuff in here. But in this, just with what we have here, I don't feel like it pays off. And again, I don't know what the ending to this story is, so it's hard to kind of judge the whole thing. Yeah, I don't know. I will say, as far as the art goes, I feel like we're really seeing some rust on Jim Lee here. Again, he's still a good artist. This isn't, I'm not saying this is bad art, but I don't think this is as good as what he did on the original Hush even, you know, years ago. Let's see. So yeah, we'll just take this pin up here. So I've got the Absolute edition here because I thought it would show up better on camera probably. You know, it's a bigger format. But like, you know, let's see. Okay, so yeah, so just this cover. Like, you know, look at how dynamic that looks. You know, we got sort of the foreshortening there with the leg and everything. And then compared to this, it's like, yeah, I just feel like this art from back then is just so much stronger than what he's doing now. You know. And again, this is a really nice format. You know, it's a little bigger, that kind of thing. So it's not apples to apples, I guess. But, I mean, this is still pretty close. Yeah, I don't know. I think Jim Lee not doing monthly books for so long definitely affected this storyline. But again, he's the boss. What are you going to do? You know, who's going to tell him? So, yeah, that's the end of Hush 2, I guess. Or till we get Hush 3 or Hush 2 squared or whatever the hell they're calling it. Man, I was waiting a long time for this. I was really hoping they were going to stick the landing with this issue. But, yeah, I don't know what to think about this. So, yeah, overall, if I had to grade this, I guess I'd say fine, you know, for this. Not crazy about this ending. You know, if we get the last half of the story, I guess, maybe I'll feel different about it. But this just feels like, I don't know, a J.J. Abrams thing where they're setting up cool stuff that doesn't pay off. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is definitely not what I wanted from a Hush sequel. I think, you know, we're not getting the whole story here. One is kind of the biggest issue I have with this. Again, Jim Lee not being able to keep a monthly schedule. And again, this is the guy who's in charge of DC. He, at some point, you know, he's got to come down on his creators to get stuff done in a timely manner and, you know, go by deadlines. And how do you do that when you can't do that yourself? You know, what kind of authority do you have over your employees at that point? I don't know. But yeah, again, not crazy about this. Definitely doesn't hold up to the original Hush. Maybe my opinion of that will change if we ever get the next part. I'm dubious as to whether or not we do, to be honest. Again, I hope we do. I hope we get to finish this story. But again, Jim Lee also has another big Batman story out there that never got finished. And it took so long for this to come out. You know, are we ever going to get the conclusion of this? You know, who knows? I'm sure they'll package this as a collection of 6 issues. But, you know, it's not a complete story. Yeah, cliffhanger is not, you know, an ending. So we'll see what happens. Have you read this? Let me know what you think in the comments. I really want to hear what people think about this. So please, you know, sound off in the comments. Let me know what you thought of this. If you disagree with me, feel free to let me know and tell me why. But yeah, this is not what I was hoping for. And again, I've looked at the other previous chapters, so if you want to go through those and watch those, you know, feel free in the Batman playlist here on the channel. But yeah, that's all I've got to say about Hush 2 right now, I suppose. If you've made it through the series where I've looked at every issue, thank you, especially considering this ending. But yeah, definitely let me know in the comments below what you think of this one, and thanks for watching. If you'd like to follow me on social media, I'm on Twitter/X at Detective651, also on Instagram at Detective651. Be sure to check out my t-shirt store at tpublic.com/user/Detective651. I've got a lot of nerdy designs on there, and there's sales all the time, so check it out frequently.